Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Lastly, this is a series, and I hope that you're enjoying it that way. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to watch the entire playlist from the beginning or catch up on any episodes that you've missed. Enjoy. All right, everyone. So here we are about 9 minutes before market open on Friday, August 13th, and we're going to figure out what to do at market open. So as you can see, my overnight trades, as I had mentioned in last night's video, were my riskiest trades yet, and mostly because I think none of these actually fit my criteria for what I was looking for from earnings. So if you remember going back here with earnings, I'm looking for something. LiveX is a partial example of this, but looking for a big earnings expectation like this, but then with positive EPS, so this is negative, so it would need to be positive EPS and need to be much more revenue than that. So another, so an example would be like Walt Disney. Though I would look for a higher growth than that. But I couldn't go into Walt Disney, unfortunately, because of the price per share. And my account, having only started with $100, I have to take, lower cost stocks. Now, what we did in last night's video, just to quickly recap, is I took stocks that I'm previously familiar with, a lot of meme stocks here, as you see, and basically just knew that I was taking a bigger than normal risk. And this is basically because, in order to grow this $100 account, these risks are going to have to be taken. And one way to do it would be with options, because options are just riskier. But another way is with earnings plays. And the advantage of earnings plays over options in a super simplistic sense is that options can absolutely go to zero. Whereas me holding a stock overnight, at least, it's almost 100% impossible that it's going to go to zero. I mean, overnight, right? Eventually, a company could go out of business, could get delisted, whatever. But the likelihood of that happening overnight is probably nil. So, those are the risks that I've been choosing to take, and I just knew that I was taking riskier than normal risks last night. And so here, we see, I'm getting beat up a bit for that today. Just know that, when you take these risks, they're calculated. I'm still overall up over the past, 2 weeks or so since I started this account, I guess a week and a half. So I've made about 7.5% in a week and a half, still beating the Dow by about almost 5%. The one I'm more interested in is the NASDAQ, because I think it's more fitting for the growth stocks that I'm typically having to buy because of the account size. But I'm up about 6 times the NASDAQ in the last, since I opened the account. And so I'm still happy with that. And as you see, there's been some wild swings, and this wild swing not nearly as detrimental as the previous one. Now, a couple of interesting things today, and then I'll talk about something I need to be careful with. I have a day trade back today, so I'm looking for potential day trade opportunities. We'll go through those in a second. The one thing I want to talk about, which is an issue that I have with trading, I think it's valuable to know what your pitfalls are as a trader. Like, what are those sort of like psychological like road bumps that you hit that cause you to make maybe less than smart decisions? And one of mine is I tend to lock in profit early, which that's not the downside to me. That's a very good thing to me, because I don't want to risk a profitable position if I don't have to. You saw in earlier videos where I did that. I let them ride, even though they were up big in the pre-market, and I could have sold them in the pre-market, but I didn't because I let them ride. Now that's not typical of me, which is kind of why I wanted to experiment with it. What happens if I do the opposite of what I would typically do? And it didn't work out for me. And so I think for me, still locking in profit is the smart thing to do, and just knowing that I'm there's the very strong potential that I'm leaving some meat on the bone, meaning maybe I lock in something at 4, 5, 10% gain because I'm happy with that, but then maybe it runs up to 15%, right? And I don't want to beat myself up for being like, oh my God, I missed out on that last 5%. Again, I don't ever expect myself to catch a falling knife at the very bottom if I'm trying to dip buy something, and I don't ever expect myself to sell something at the very top. So I'm always expecting it's going to run higher than where I sell it, and I'm always expecting it could dip lower than where I buy it if I'm buying a dip play. So that I'm okay with. Now, the issue that I have, sort of psychologically speaking, is with holding on to losing trades for too long and bleeding gains that way. And so that's the risky part of today, as I need to figure out what to do with Tattooed Chef, which is down almost 10%, Wish, which is down almost 30%, and SOFI, which is down over 11%. Now, Wish had absolutely garbage earnings, so I'm not surprised that they're falling through. You know, I could have thought through that one a little bit more. Part of the thing there is they are the lowest cost per share stock on this list. So it was, taken with the thought that, yes, these earnings could be really atrocious, and they were, but retail has been such a big player with Wish that there's always that, outside chance that they swoop in and just drive the price up regardless. So I'm interested to see what happens at open, which way that goes. Now with Tattooed Chef and SoFi, Tattooed Chef had disappointing earnings by my estimation. I thought that they had a chance to go positive or at least strongly meet expectations, meaning like hit all of the expectations. And that was not the case. SoFi is more of an interesting case. I did a video on it last night if you want to take a look, and I'll do another one tonight. But that to me is this SoFi reaction to me feels very overblown. I don't think that those earnings were as bad as they're being received. Now, that said, just because I don't think they're as bad as they're being received doesn't mean anything. Just because you think that a stock shouldn't be going down, the stock market does not care. So I think another cautionary tale is like, don't get too consumed with the idea that a stock shouldn't be going down as far as it is, because I don't think the news is that bad. It just doesn't matter. It's going down as much as it's going down, and you have to find a way to blend and meld what's happening in reality with what you think should be happening, and then make your decisions based on that. And like I'm talking about right now, sort of know what your common pitfalls are, know what traps you tend to fall into, and do your best to mitigate those along the way. And so those are going to be the things that I'm going to be trying to mitigate this morning. How do I cut these loose without holding on to them too long? And you see this often when people keep buying a dip that just forever dips, and then they get themselves into a situation where they're overextended in terms of like how much of their account is tied up in a losing position, and then feeling like they can't ever cut that loose because they don't want to take a big loss. So that's sort of how that plays out in other accounts. Now we're just a couple of minutes before market open at this point, and these were some stocks I was looking at. Webull has this really good thing on the markets page if you don't use it, where they just list the top gainers, and you can just look at it in the pre-market, and you can go through and kind of click through them and see what's interesting to you, maybe some tickers you recognize, maybe some that you can at least go in and say, hey, why is this moving? And if they don't have anything here that's showing you why, just go ahead and Google it, and you can find what this is up on. So the ones that are interesting to me is Any was a big winner for me earlier this week or last week. And sorry, Zev is not on the list. I just wanted to see what it was doing. And so Any might be a strong possibility for me. The other pitfall that I need to stay aware of, and I'll just share in case it's something that resonates with you, is you need to not fall in love with these stocks that are previous winners of yours. Meaning just jumping in to play them because you've previously won with them. If the setup's not there and you wouldn't otherwise take a position, it's sort of like I have to continuously remind myself that that's the criteria. And so that can be another kind of pitfall or challenge. So here we are at market open. So we need to keep a tight eye on these plays, which could be good day trade opportunities, which means I might get in and out of them really quickly, especially if I take it at market open. I would typically rather take them midday and see if anything is going to run for the rest of the day. But support.com, I mean, look at the craziness of the volume on this. Must be pretty solid. If any engineers from Webull are watching, these things don't grab and drag so easily. Yeah, look at this volume, already double its average over the last 3 months. Oh, less than 1 minute into open. So yes, Webull desktop app, come on, you gotta fix this situation. It's not fun to sit here and try to drag something a half a dozen or a dozen times before you can get it to move. So just a recommendation. All right, so let's see what's happening with my losers here. You know, my question is obviously, are they going to gap up at all, which would be phenomenal, but can't really expect. And then Rocket and CODX had given back some of their gains, and so I'm wondering if they will do anything that looks in the way of jumping back up again. CODX, I think I'm going to set myself so that I don't go red on this position, a trailing stop. Yeah, for my 2 greens, I'm going to set a trailing stop. I only want to give back. Let's give it a little room to. Now it's in the 4s. Okay, it's just moving around so much. Okay, give back 2% at the most. Trailing stop, 2%. Okay, and then I'll do the same with Rockets. Okay, I'm gonna need to take a sip of coffee here in a minute. I'm always forever sleepy with children. That should be the theme. All right, and see here, Tattooed Chef and SOFI also not treating me so well. I mean, I guess the other thing that I could do here is set trailing stop losses for them. Now I do have, if none of these get hit very quickly, I do have $38 that I can grab some plays with. So I'm not going to worry about CODX or Rocket for now. I want to watch closely Tattoo Chef and Wish, especially because it's more likely, in my estimation, of between Wish, Tattoo Chef, and SOFI. I think Wish has the most potential for a ton of volume, but also of really trimming down because it's so beaten down. You might just see retail jumping in for like no great reason. Right, SOFI still getting beat up here. Let's see. So on SOFI and Tattooed Chef, yeah, I do want to watch them for a minute. I'm like trying to sort out in my head if this is me giving in to my bad habits, or if it's smart to watch them, as opposed to setting a trailing stop loss for them too. Because the likelihood that, you know, if they, to the degree to which they can recover, that they're going to go straight up is unlikely. So I could see something where, like, you know, this is totally hypothetical, but SOFI goes to minus 10% and then drops back down to minus 11 and then triggers a stop loss, and then finishes the day at minus 7 or something like that. But I guess that sort of speaks to my first thing, which was I can't expect myself to sell at the very top, even on a losing position. So that is the challenge. We see Wish calling back several percent at the moment, so that's good. SOFI is the one that's lagging behind so far. SOFI, CODX, I have already set for. Okay, yeah, see, this is what I was wondering if Wish would do. And obviously the volume is quite crazy. 42 million. What's their average? 66. So they're going to hit that probably in the first hour here. Well, potentially in the first hour. Tattoo Chef. See, the issue with Tattoo Chef is they probably don't have much volume. Yeah, they don't have nearly the retail interest. I just actually think they could be a good company. Um, so them and SOFI, whereas Wish is just, to me, a meme play. Okay. Let's see what our potential buys are doing. Support.com coming down. So what I need to be looking for here is if any of these look like good dip buy opportunities, since they had run up so much in the pre-market. Any jumping off that 200. What's the MACD look like? Okay. Recent bullish cross. RSI above the midline. How's the volume looking? I mean, not that much volume for something that's going to like run just based on some hype. I think I don't think that there's news. I don't know. Do these give any actual helpful information? Shares are pre-market trading after declining over 4% on Thursday. Company agreement to acquire. Yeah. Okay. So they're still referencing a news item from last week. So I think it's essentially just saying it went down 4% yesterday. And so maybe people are buying in early on today to try to grab, a perceived dip. BioLace had really good earnings, I think. Higher by 31% in the aftermarket. The company reported, rose by 83%, which beat the estimate of. Okay, yes, they doubled up essentially. Okay. Yeah, so the question there is like how long would this run actually stretch? Meaning, if I took two of these positions, hypothetically, say if I took BioLace and any, I couldn't offload both of them today because I only have 1 day trade, and so I would have to hold one of them through the weekend, and which one would potentially have the higher probability of at least holding up relatively well all day today, plus over the weekend, so that I could, sell it on Monday. That's the question. And that's why I really might save that day trade for the second half of the day. Because it's hard to expect any of these to hold up really well the entire day and beyond. Ooh, Boxlight coming up. Boxlight, they had reported really good numbers too. This looks like it's high volume. Yeah, very high volume, comparatively speaking. Okay. What are my losers doing here? I know this is a very long video, but, so it goes. Some of these will be. All right, Tattoo Chef, not really. Continuing to make a run at it. Yeah, SOFI just sticking around there. And Wish coming back down. Okay. Yeah, so my biggest danger here is just that I hold on to these losers too long and offload my winners, which I'm much better at. So CODX treating me nice at the moment. Rocket could be doing a lot better. But yeah, I mean, if Tattoo Chef and SOFI could get themselves in single-digit losses at least, and then if Wish could find a way to get under 20%, that would be a huge win for the day, given where I sit right now. But yeah, I think I need to try to roll out this day trade later in the day, because also, I could throw an options trade out there instead and see if Wish is going to double bottom here. Triple bottom maybe. And if not, I might set myself a trailing stop. to give it like a little bit more room to breathe, but you know, if it's going to drop 40% on the day, I can't just let it ride. But if it's going to bottom out here again, that could be. Oh, so is it dipping further? What do we got here? Can we hold there? That's the question. How did this hold up in the pre-market? That's the other thing that I like to look at sometimes. During extended hours, where did this level touch? So it did play a strong support and resistance level once it dipped down there. Okay. All right. I mean, I guess I could set myself a stop loss under there as well. What's the ATR say? ATR says 13 cents. So I could set myself stop loss for 657. Just 13 cents below that 670 support zone. And then what would it be? Okay, so that's holding up well so far. TTCF with a potential, I mean, would have liked the body to be a little smaller, but hammer-ish kind of candlestick there. See if it leads to anything. It's gonna be a lot to ask at the moment. See if SOFI does anything since it's bouncing out of oversold. But volume still doesn't seem... Right, volume almost matching the 3-month average, but not really shaking anything loose. TTCF coming back down. Okay. So I think I might have to set myself some stop losses, and I might as well set myself a take profit simultaneously. And then just sort of come in and adjust it later if I want to switch it to a trailing stop. And then come back in the midday and see how some of these are shaking out. That's looking good at the moment. It's a fresh bullish cross. That's where it topped out in the pre-market. But I'm wondering if we watch this for a minute, if we could get a little cup and handle here. A rocket. My boy Zev not making it happen. That was a winner from a few days ago, which is why I said try not to fall in love with stocks. CLH, I was looking for a dip, but then it kept dipping. These are on totally different. Those came out in my newsletter. But, all right, well, I think that might be what I do here. Set myself a stop loss and a take profit. And I'll set stop losses 1 ATR underneath the support zone for Wish, Tattooed Chef, and SOFI. And then I'll figure out what to place a take profit at. And then I don't know if anything got triggered. Something got hit. Okay, so we locked in the profit from, I already can't remember. CODX. Okay. So CODX was a good one, 960. All right, so made almost $1 on that. So about 10%. So that's good. But yeah, the level to which these ones that are beating me up is challenging. Well, I'm going to set these levels and I'll stay here and do it in case folks want to see how I would determine these levels. And then, but if you want to hop out now, my plan will be essentially to come back around midday and see if there's anything interesting to snag. It'll probably have to be, just based on my schedule, around 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern time. And that would give me a chance to grab something and then close it out a couple hours later, which I don't know if it'll be enough time for an options trade to actually sort of build enough gain. So we'll see. We'll see what's available at the time. But hang on if you want to see me watch set these, and if not, then I will see you in the next video. All right, so basically I'm going to look through here. I don't know if there's any I should set sooner than later. SOFI just keeps dropping. So let's set SOFI's first. Let me look back. So the way I would think of this is I'm going to look for the current bottoming out, which is about here. I know that this wick extends lower, but this is also very hammerish looking, but the volume doesn't look to be there at the moment. 1496. So if we scroll back and see if that held up anywhere in the pre-market or after hours, I mean, not especially. It just hadn't dipped that low, unfortunately. So I think that that's where I'll be, though, on this one. And, okay. So my ATR is 9 cents. So if I go 14.96 minus 9 cents, that gets me to 14.87. So I'm going to set 14.87 for my stop loss, and then if I want to get at least to single digits, let me see. So I bought in at 17.37. So I'm going to go 17.37. I'm doing this on a separate calculator. And if I want to only have lost, say, 8%, 15.98 will be my take profit. All right, so 14.87. Okay, so I'll set these. 14.87 is the one I have to remember. $14.87 for the stop price. 15.98 for the take profits. And then what I'll do is either in the midday when I check in, or at some other time if I check it. If it's sitting kind of between these two, maybe I'll just I'll cancel this and just transition it to a trailing stop, because it may not hit either of those, right? It could just trade in between, but I don't want to continue holding it for another day. It just doesn't make sense in the context of trying to build this account. Rocket's doing nice things for me at the moment. I need it. Thank you. Tattooed Chef struggling. So 15 cents. So what do we have for support level at the moment? It's looking like this, about $18. Did that hold up? No. So we're about as low as we have been. So let's just take it from 18 minus 11 cents. So 16.89. 16.89. And I'm going to do the same thing. Try to think my position. You can see up there at $20.39. So I'm going to say if we can get it down to 8%, 1875. 1875 and 16.89. Okay. So come in here. 16.89 for the stop loss, and 1875. This is me. This is really hard to do. Just because, like I said, my mind wants to go to don't take the loss, don't take the loss. But it's never been a winning strategy for me. It's always gotten me into more problems than it has solved. So I need to chill with that. All right, so wish, we know I'm gonna go 661 on the downside. Now, what do I think it could realistically get to? I would think, let's see if there's any resistance zones. Like the 777 level. Does that mean anything? Let's see if that appears elsewhere. 777. So not really, but if we go down here, it would be right here, 773. Several support and resistance zones, or a couple at least. All right. So 773. Let me see. $9.48 I paid, unfortunately. Okay. So if we got it under a 20% loss, it would be about $7.58 to take profit on. Take profit on. It's such a misnomer in this case. But so I could set it at that level or close to it. Maybe I'll do one ATR below that level. So 773 minus 8 cents. Oops. So let's set that one at 765 if we can get there. I mean, at the moment, as it's trying to jump up here, I'm wondering if it just makes sense to do a trailing. No, I'd rather do what we're talking about here. All right, so we're at 8 cents now. So what I'm going to do is 662 on the downside. Okay. And then we'll be done here for this video. 662 on the downside, and then we'll do 765 on the upside. 662. Okay. All right. All right, so nothing else has been hit yet. Wish still treating me nice. So maybe if that, could get me back over it. I mean, I would like to finish the day, just full transparency here, as close to 110 as possible, because I think I finished last week about 108.50 or so. It wasn't exactly the right number, but it was over 8%, I think. And so if I can not take a loss this week and do a little bit better than flat, given how volatile the week was, I would take that. So, and still would be a good, I mean, making 10% over the course of slightly less than 2 weeks of trading. That's a solid, it's a solid endeavor, in my opinion. All right, well, that will do it for this one. This is me trying to manage myself through challenging earnings overnight and challenging mindset that I know, trying to know where my pitfalls are and work around them. All right, well, I hope you have a good trading day, and I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.